Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So this will be my first review in a format like this. This is something that I have done weekly and monthly on my own, but this is going to be a little different. I'm doing this much sooner in the following month for the month ended because I have time and I'm just trying to clean up my process. So normally this process to do this monthly end review of my expenditure and budgeting, normally I would have to do it in a Saturday for several hours, and then because sometimes you see mistakes and you need to fix things, and it's not a perfect system, but it's a pretty accurate system, and normally it would take me 1 to 2 weeks after the month's already closed just because of work. So this is, I'm able to do this much sooner after the month close. This has been a little bit of an unusual, longer process, I think, this month, because I'm trying to refine this a little better, make things a little cleaner, and largely because I'm presenting this. Just remember, it's an experiment. It's my first month of early retirement and my first month living in Laos in this context. And honestly, it's a transition period more than anything. So just a reminder, I finished my job at the end of last year in December, and my wife and I moved back to Laos, to our house in Laos, a house that we own. It's a small house, and her sister lives here with her baby and takes care of it, manages basically, I pay her to manage the house, to maintain it. It gives her an income probably double what she would get for a much more convenient situation. Anyway, it's a win-win for us. So the one thing I want to be clear about this up front is I'm not allowed to live cheap. I'm here because I'm married to a Lao woman, and this is where our life is. This is where it's easier for me to adapt to her and her environment than for us to go back to the US. So the goal isn't to minimize spending, it's to live comfortably and enjoy a simple life. For us, that means good food, a calm pace, and simple pleasures that don't cost much but add a lot of value. And part of that is, that's just our nature. We don't need much. I don't have $1 million budget. I don't have a perpetual money loop to do whatever I want. Fortunately, we are content with that. Yes, I'd like to keep my monthly average down to $3.2 thousand per month or lower, preferably. But if you watch my budget video from couple weeks ago, I'll link that here. But please take a look at that just to give you an idea. I expect the month to fluctuate, and especially in the first couple months, because this is a little bit of a known. But what matters isn't any single month. It's the long-term running average. So think of this as month one of a real-world experiment, and let's see how it plays out. This channel isn't about living cheap. It's about living intentionally and frugal. We don't like to waste money, and we like to put it to the things that we enjoy. I believe in these quotes: what gets measured gets managed. What gets managed improves. So if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going, and you don't know what you're doing in the present. Let's go over the numbers and see how this turned out, and let me know what you think. Income for this month was, I sold something on eBay very cheaply, and my sister mailed it for me. She has all the things at her house, and I made $10 from that. Actually, I basically broke even. I think she made a mistake on the shipping. It should have only been a couple dollars and not what it cost me to sell this. But I'm a minimalist. I take the losses. I'm not trying to scrape money from people. I'd be happy if people got use out of that. It was something I didn't need, and I let it go. And that's that's the issue with some of the things I'm selling. I'm okay to let things go. I'm not trying to make profit. Okay, next one, interest earned. Bank interest from different various accounts was $18. So my cash back, this was from a credit card that I had used last year, the last 2 years. I never cashed in on the rewards. So I opted for an automatic monthly cash back payment. I don't see any point in accruing the cash on this particular credit card. So that was $134 cash back. That's nice to have. Sale of a personal item. So I sold some gym floor mats that I brought back from Bangkok. I sold them cost to someone here in Laos, and I made $130 on that. So total income was $291 for the month. I had to pay taxes on and withdraw from an IRA. I had to pay taxes up front where the taxes were withheld. So that was $250. Okay, moving on to expenses. So again, remember I have my budget lines categorized in groups of similar expense types. I have a finance background. This is basically my chart of accounts. So I hope this is pretty clear. So this is the month of January. The new vehicle that we purchased was down to about a quarter of a tank. We had to fill that that was $60. I'm glad that's much less than what I was budgeting. I don't know if our usage will increase, but I don't expect it to too much. So if that stays down at this cost, I'm very happy. My motorcycle was not registered for more than 6 years, and so we had to go get that registered. That was kind of an unplanned. I didn't expect to do that, but it's running great and I want to keep it. And the police here, they target Farang, or foreigners. They randomly stop Lao people, but I could be riding along next to someone with no helmet, 3 kids on the back seat, and they'll pull me over, even though I have a helmet on and my registration and everything's. That's just a fact here. It's just the way it is living overseas. So if you want to complain about the U.S., try living overseas. Motorcycle fuel, $6. I had to fill the tank. It's still running on $6. I mean, this is one thing why I love that bike. That's going to be it's very convenient. So moving on, next expenses. So finance and administration. This is a one-off. This was a 50% down payment on a financial plan I'm having an advisor create for me when I go into retirement. This is one of my strategies moving forward as far as my personal finances. It seems expensive, but I think it's worth it. I need professional guidance, and I hope that this will turn out to be worth the amount of money that I put into it. So I expect to have that financial plan at the end of the month, and they will send it to me, and then I'll get this video to go along with it. And then I have up to a month or two to ask questions around it. So I didn't want to go into this situation with the money I had without some guidance, on taxes and just how to manage it. I've not had to manage money like this. So I believe it's wise to surround yourself with people who know what they're talking about. So this amount, the next installment will be paid in February, March. This amount will be a one-off that I'll deduct from the monthly average. So we'll see what that looks like. Monthly subscription, I had to pay for Google. Coming down here, languages. So this is actually a positive. I paid for a language course, and it was all screwed up, and I ended up writing the guy telling him I wanted my money back. He did it, and the exchange rate caused me to actually make $3 on it. It was a payment in euros that I made in US dollar. So moving on, $23. So I bought 3 books on Kindle. They were on sale, and there was one of those 2x bonus points. So I just stocked up a couple books for the next couple months. I don't expect to be using this for the next few months. Guitar, I bought an acoustic guitar a used acoustic guitar from someone here in Laos and Vientiane. I posted this to sell one of my electric guitars, and I saw this posting for this guitar, and I looked it up, and it was a really good deal, and I couldn't pass it up, and I really wanted an acoustic guitar to pick at. That's going to be one of my leisures coming in early retirement. I was planning on buying one. I just wasn't expecting to do it so soon. And I'm still waiting to sell my guitar. So this movies and music, this is my Netflix subscription. It's roughly $5. I pay this from my Thai baht credit card. Bank fees. So this is kind of high. So when I closed my accounts with the organization I work for, And this basically took out my 401k, if you will, my organization's match. They charged me this $164. So coffee and tea, so $109. So normally I stock up every couple weeks. I drank a little more coffee last month than I normally would. It's partly because I'm not working, I'm at home, and the coffee is really good, and I was experimenting with different cups of different grinds. It's something I like to do. This is not a full month worth of consumption. I stocked up about a week before the end of January with enough coffee for several more weeks. Remember, this is just what I spent and not necessarily what I consumed in January. So this will average out. And coffee is something I probably buy every 1 or 2 weeks because I buy it at a very specific place. It's a very nice Lao coffee. Groceries. The context again is me, my wife's sister, a baby. I'm sure I'm paying for it. And the nephew, 18-year-old boy who was here. He just left about a week and a half ago. The guy eats like a freaking horse. And I was paying for that. It was around New Year's, so my wife's family came in from the south for a couple days to pick up the mom, hang out. I pay for the food. They might contribute a bag of rice from their farm or a bag of tree grubs and whatever animal they catch from the wild. Usually it's frogs, huge frogs. They'll bring in a bag of tree grubs that they fry up, fried crickets, fried grasshoppers. I'll eat the fried crickets and the grasshoppers and the frog's legs, but some of the other stuff I won't eat. One time they brought in a big monitor lizard in a bucket. It was alive. I said, I don't want to see you butcher it. This is what they eat. They eat anything, everything. And the one nice thing is nothing gets wasted. Anyway, so I'm paying for the food. When they're here, I pay for their food. When I'm there, I pay for their food. Being the foreigner, this is one of the things you have to kind of expect. I didn't like it. I always wanted to avoid it, and here I'm in it. So I love my wife and I love them. But they don't have the income that I have, even though I told my wife we need to be careful. Anyway, this was also around New Year's, so we were eating a little more nicer, more food. Beer is probably in here. I don't drink alcohol, so we had to have beer for them and different things. So it's $1,200. It's less than what I budgeted, so I'm happy about that. I expect this to come down now that the boy's out of the house. Specialty foods. This is really me. So we bought 2 racks of imported lamb, and I buy imported steaks. You cannot get very good steaks, so it's mostly imported, and it's reasonable. So specialty is really my budget line. Our restaurants, we went out to eat with the family at one of our favorite restaurants, and I pay. And we also treated one of Da's friends who helped us out a lot when we first got here. We took her and her family to the same restaurant, and I pay. Another thing I want to quick inject in here is that you can live in Laos, likely cheaper than you will in the U.S. You can find cheap rent. You can eat cheaply. You can eat noodles and rice if you want, which is what the majority of the population do eat. Now, if you want to live a fairly comfortable life and eat healthy, you're going to have to pay a little bit more money for that. Laos is one of the hardest hit countries in the world during COVID with hyperinflation, along with Myanmar. One of the countries I worked in was Myanmar. And it was one of the hardest hit with hyperinflation with COVID because it's landlocked and they don't really export anything. They grow enough to sustain their own population, and they still have to import. I believe they do import from Thailand a large amount of fruits, vegetables, and other things, including rice. And the other thing to keep in mind is the inflation. We know that inflation has been a problem globally. Inflation last year in Laos was over 7.5%. Inflation this year is expected to be 5.1%, I believe. Compared to the 2% target that they're going for in the U.S. So it can be cheap if you want it to be cheap, but you're going to sacrifice there to do so. And again, we're not trying to do that. Charity. This is low. We go to a Lao church, and I always tithe. This is low mostly because I didn't have any cash. We had to make 2 runs to Thailand across the border for me to get the cash. What was that? We had to make 2 runs to the border to get cash from my final payoff from work to pay for the car 2 times, and to just to get some cash. So normally this charity should be a lot higher. I just had limited amount of cash here, and there's really no other way to pay for things here unless you use a foreign credit card. So moving on, gym fitness. So my wife and I finally joined a gym. I'm very happy about that. This will be deducted from the monthly running average at the end of this video. This is 2 people for 1 year, and they give you a month free for being a membership. It's about $75 a month for 2 of us, so I think it's $38, and it's a fantastic gym. And when we go, we basically are one of the only people there. This is part of our lifestyle. We want a healthy lifestyle, and we both love the gym. We'll be there for a couple hours a day in the afternoon. So electricity was $28. This is cold, dry seasons. So the only things we're using is lights, my computer stuff, air condition at night. My wife and I will sleep with the air conditioning. We like it colder, and I can tend to get too hot even when it's cold out. It's very rare that we'll sleep without an air conditioner, but the rest of the family won't be using the air conditioner now. I'm expecting this when it starts getting hotter. It's getting warm now. Toward March, April, this is going to start going up because electricity is pretty expensive here. We only use aircon in the rooms that we're in. All the rooms have their own separate aircon, so if we're not in it, we don't use it. And we use it as only absolutely necessary. I will be warm for a couple hours before I decide to turn on the aircon, especially in the afternoon. We have fans in every room. We try to use the fans up until it's too much, and it's usually me that needs the aircon, especially if I'm sitting in this room, because there's not a lot of ventilation. So I budgeted for $100 a month, so I'm expecting this will get up to about $75, $80 a month later in the year. This was a one-off. This will be deducted from the monthly running average at the end, and you will see all my one lump sum amounts for this month, and then my monthly average. So we did a lot of house improvements and repairs since December. In January we spent $2,732, and last month I think it was about $5,000, almost $7,500 in 2 months we spent on fixing up the house, making it, painting it, replacing things that were broken, and it seemed like there was a lot of stuff that were broken, repairing a ceiling. This will be deducted at the end, and it will not be included in the running average. Supplies, $338. This is we buy supplies for cleaning. This will probably average out. I think we bought a stock at the end of January. Kitchen, this is mostly gas for cooking and any other small things that we might need. This will probably increase because my wife and I are here now. This was about half this when I wasn't here. Mobile phones, this is all in US dollar, by the way. So this was a little high in January. When we went over to Laos or Thailand, I had to top up my phone. I had paid several months in advance at the basic amount. I have to keep that phone number for some of my personal business in Thailand. In Laos, we do this monthly. We just top up our phones monthly to put internet on it. I'm not sure what that will cost. I think it will be $10 to $15 a month. Paid help. So this is my sister-in-law. She lives with us, and I pay her a salary. She's very happy that I'm going to continue paying it, but I told her if my monthly cost ends up being more than my investments can support, we might have to reduce this. Because I pay for all her other expenses. Because most of the stuff she does is to manage the house. So I feel it's my responsibility to pay for that. The only thing I shouldn't be paying for is the baby specific stuff. The father in Thailand, he's supposed to be sending money for that. I understand that that's what's happening, but it's going to be hard to tell how much of my money is actually going to the baby. I'm sure some of it's going to her. I don't mind that. I don't mind helping because they don't have much money. Any expenses for the baby, medical, whatever, I said that's their business, not my business. So anyway, we pay her $210 a month at this exchange rate. I hope not to take it away because we don't want to lose her. We don't want her to have to find extra work. It's really fantastic having her here, and we love her. So she's just amazing. We're very fortunate to have her. Repairs on the house, I'll include this in this was some small things after with the toilet and stuff. I expect that to probably continue until we fix everything. Okay, so city water was $11 for January. It's pretty cheap. I think this is actually 2 months. I think the city water we pay about $50,000, $60,000 keep per month, which is about $5 or $6. So I think this is actually 2 months worth. My wife's medical and pharmacy stuff. She always has pharmacy stuff. I don't know. $60. So hopefully that will start averaging down. When we went across the border, bought some things at a pharmacy in Udon Thani, and she said it's going to be 2 or 3 months worth of supplies. So hopefully this will average down. Spa and massage. This was my pedicure last month, $13. Food and pet supplies. So 2 dogs left and 5 stinking cats. That's $209. Accessories, $9. My wife bought some old school headphones so she could have at the gym. Car rental and taxi, this was $49. This was for us to cross the border twice to Thailand. Normally we wouldn't need rental, only when we go to Thailand. My visa, so this was my Laos visa. This was one of the wins from last month. I got a spousal visa for the year instead of paying monthly tourist visa. This is a one lump sum that I'll subtract from the monthly average or at the end of this video. And so this was the visa and for paperwork. This was to pay an agent to do the paperwork for us. And we had to go to a police station and things like this. So this averages to about $50 per month, which is the cost of a tourist visa. But next year, I'm told that the visa for me will go down to $400, which will be nice. This was to ship the thing I sold on eBay, $12. So basically, I lost money on that deal. Total expenses for the month were $9,537, and I think this is accurate within $5 to $10. Now that I'm here to monitor it more closely, this is going to be extremely accurate, and my wife's on board to be more accurate. The one-time expenses were the 50% down payment for the financial plan. That was $1,500. The house improvements are for January, $2,732. $607 for my visa, $896 for our gym membership, and so the total deductions from that month costs were $5,735. Our monthly running costs for normal expenses was $3,803. My budget is $3,200. So this is something to monitor. So that was January. Imperfect. It's a transition, and exactly what I expected for the first month of early retirement. I wasn't quite sure. So some categories will smooth out over time, and some might surprise me. Some months will be higher, some will be lower, and that's just reality. The goal here is to optimize every dollar. It's to pay attention, make adjustments when needed, and make sure our spending supports a lifestyle that we want to enjoy. I'll keep tracking them this monthly and focus on the trend, not the noise, not these one-time off expenses. If over time that running average will tell the real story, and if you're curious how this evolves, or if you're navigating something similar, stick around. It's important to say what gets measured gets managed, what gets managed improves. So let's see how this works out. I really appreciate you sticking around. Tell me what you think. What do you think of some of these costs? So I'll just quick add in here that just remember this is a work in progress. This is my first month, and I plan to develop this. You might see something in a very different format because I need to show the actual month's expenditure and then show the running average. That will help us to watch the trend. So this will develop, Hopefully it will become a little more better to look at. And thanks for your patience. If you have any ideas, and I would really love to hear from you if you'd like to see my process, because this is managing this across multiple currencies and in Excel from and Quicken is something I like to do, but it's a little complicated. Take care, everybody. God bless, and see you next month. Take it slow.